So looks like we're officially live, man. We are. Okay, well, hello Facebook. This, this is GratitudeSpace Radio, and I'm here with my new friend Curtis. Curtis, would you like to say hi, man? Welcome. Welcome GratitudeSpace Radio.
Thank you, Chris, for having me on. Hello, everyone. I can't really, I'm not privy to who's tuned in or who's not, but thanks for, joining us.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, I keep messing with this other setting here. Okay, I'm just going to stop looking over here so I can stay with the podcast. Okay, so here we are. So this is GratitudeSpace Radio. This is Curtis here. We were fortunate enough to meet through Instagram. I want to give a quick shout out, and not shout out. I want to give some gratitude to Instagram. I want to give gratitude to the platforms that allow people to connect where they would never connect ever in the world. If somebody just hashtags gratitude, I'm fortunate enough that I could be in the right place and see Curtis post, because this last week, or it was week before last, he celebrated his 5.5 year celebration of sobriety. So
yeah, it was I guess the 5.5 year would have been September 22nd. And it's cool, it's very serendipitous how we met. It's funny. I believe it was just from like a hashtag or something. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, it was a hashtag.
This is the world we're living in, hashtags.
Yeah, well, you think about, hashtags can really connect people. Obviously, they can connect people in bad ways, but they can also connect people in good ways. And just because, there's obviously thousands and thousands of people that are sharing gratitude, and some reason the algorithm worked at the exact time that I decided to go like this, and then here we are. It's freaking amazing.
Yes, it's rad, and I'm, thank you for including me in it. And, I really believe in what you're doing, and I believe in the practice of gratitude, and just the whole thing. It's cool. It's very transformative and profound and just really rad.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I could tell from your post that you definitely got it. And I was so excited when you responded to me, because you never know when you reach out if somebody really either sees it or they're going to respond. And, at that moment you responded, I was like, here I go. I got another gratitude brother. It's like automatically like, there's no way I'm not going to get along with this guy,
I bet you get that a lot though.
I'm fortunate enough to meet a lot of grateful people. Yeah.
I don't think you meet too many strangers, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I don't. I agree. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since I felt like a stranger. That's for sure. So I'm always reaching out in this way where I just love people sharing. So Curtis, one of my go-to questions is, if you were going to explain gratitude to like a 10-year-old, how would you go about doing that? What would you say?
Well, I have explained it to 10-year-olds before, because my kids are 12. My kids are 12 now, but they have been, in my sobriety, I've been really open with them about like what their dad went through, and they see me as as a present father now, and so the lessons for them are connecting the dots between, okay, like, how do we get from point A to point B? And it's just like, I do this with, a number of people in my life, but I talk to them about writing gratitude lists in the morning, or really getting in the practice of being grateful for a number of reasons. But if I was to explain it to a 10-year-old, it's like, what are you thankful for? Because it's essentially it's synonymous. But grateful, thankful, what are you, I guess that's how I would put it. If I had to talk to, if they were like, what is gratitude or what is grateful, I would, it's being thankful. So I guess that's how I would describe it to a 10-year-old.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I mean, if, you ask them what they're thankful for, and then, depending on the kid, you could explain, obviously explain that a little bit more. Like you could give them, I think with a kid, it's like they have a limited knowledge of or maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe I haven't talked to them, you know, like of how, because we're adults and we still are looking around going, what, you know, can go, what am I thankful for? What am I grateful for? When there's so much. But maybe a kid's brain isn't like spinning so much where they could just literally go around and go, oh, well, I'm thankful for the cat. The cat's great, you know?
Yeah. Or like, what do you
like?
What do you like about your life? What do you, in this moment, what do you see around you that you think's cool? And if they're like, oh, I like that coloring book or whatever 10-year-olds do, I think, you know, whatever.
Right.
Then there you have it. You can kind of put a label on the emotion. You can label the emotion if they can like articulate what they're, you know, looking at or thinking about or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I'm trying to think. Somebody else told me that when I asked somebody else, she said she would tell the person just to hug everything, to love every, you know, just to appreciate it. She used the metaphor of a hug to say, just look around you and hug everything. And I just love that idea, looking around and just going, you know, feeling this appreciation in the metaphor of a hug.
I like it, and we need it. You know, and I've, you know, experienced this with my children too. It's like with everyone becoming more and more, I don't want to say trapped in this virtual world, but you know, we exist also in this virtual world, and a lot of kids are, you know, playing video games all the time. And really, like when I was a kid, I guess the first Nintendo had just started, and you know, kids were starting to like be sucked into video games and all the things. But it was like, all right, we're playing outside today. We're like, you know, catching frogs in the creek behind my house or whatever the case may be. We're actually like stabbing like at fish or something, you know, like we were Lord of the Flies or something. But yeah, I think it's great. I think you know, human touch and affection is really important, and I really like to, and I'll probably go back to my kids a lot here, but it's like I like to hug them as much as I can. I like to tell them I love them as much as I can. I like to tell them how important they are to me, how grateful I am for my relationship with them, how grateful I am to be able to show up as their dad and like do normal everyday things, like, because there was a point in my life that I was not capable of doing that at all. You know, I couldn't show up as their father. I couldn't show up as a husband to my ex-wife, and then I couldn't show up as an ex-husband to my ex-wife who, you know, in sobriety, we have a really, really, really amazing relationship, and we're best of friends, and we still have our fights, but we work through it so well. And it always, like when gratitude lists come up or gratitude comes up, like I immediately, like family always comes into frame first. And like, I have so many people in my life that are estranged from their exes, and they don't talk, or they fucking hate each other, or whatever the case may be. And, you know, that's just not the case with Kristen and I. And it's been really, really amazing to be able to heal that relationship and co-parent with her and work through, like, we got in a blow up fight this morning, right?
Okay.
And it was over some things I won't get into in the interview, but you know, we fight and then we talk about it like adults, and we tell each other we love each other and we're sorry, and we move on. And it took a lot of work to get to that place, for sure. And I'm just like talking about it now, like I'm having a little bit of a tough time, but I'm really grateful. Doesn't even like touch how grateful I am for it. Grateful times a billion, whatever that would be, like super grateful. But yeah, we, you know, it's so good for the kids. And that's really like, at the end of the day, it's like be of service. And how was I of service to my family? How was I of service to my kids? How can I, you know, how can my ex-wife and I work together to to be better parents. And I've like gained a relationship with her husband out of this too, which has been really beautiful. And that was a lot of like really synchronistic, really far out type situations, but it all has come into like everyone. Like we essentially have this big mixed family now, which is super rad. And I know that's you know, I know from experience with so many people I work with or talk to on a regular basis that you know, that's not always the case.
Right.
And I don't ever take that for granted. I don't, because I know that you know, especially with COVID, like I was in LA when COVID hit, and the threat of like shutting down air travel had started. And so I was like, oh God, I got to get out of here and get to the kids. And, you know, how amazing is it that she and I and the kids and her family and my family, like, we're neighbors in Florida, and we've been able to support each other through all of this, like through a lot of things I won't even get into today. But it's been really amazing. And it's always at the top of my list for what I'm most grateful for. And my kids are my world. You know, I have twins that are 12, and thankfully I got sober and this is what a really, really amazing doctor told me. He was like, if you know, and I don't really remember him telling me this because I was a fucking psycho in rehab, but my coach at the time, who's now my boss, you know, he was like, if you would have waited just a little bit longer to get sober, your kids would have remembered all of the really bad stuff that was going on with you and your alcoholism and your drug addiction. And so it all happened at the right time, which life, a lot of times for me, which again, I'm super, super grateful and have this, I feel like, a charmed life. You know, it happened just in time, because I'm so glad, like they have a few memories about me in my, like, the grips of drug addiction and alcoholism, but most of it's just like, oh yeah, we remember when you gave us wine when we were 3. And I'm like, I think you're just making that up for the you know, I don't know, maybe you're not, you're probably not making it up. It's probably something that I would have done at the time. But yeah, I mean, they have gotten to know me as they've grown up and like become the amazing little humans that they are, as like there's a sober father and someone that really cares about his sobriety and someone that like really wants to be of maximum service in his life to other people that have struggled with the same shit as I have.
That's beautiful, man. You know, it reminded me, I had a really great guy named Todd Churches on, and he said that him and his wife, well, it's just, okay, so basically it's like, if you know that you love somebody, you know, like you obviously love your ex-wife for a lot of reasons, you know, then when you get in a fight, it's like the quicker you can just move on, like you said today, you said you get in and you get back, you go, we love each, you know, everything's okay, you know, we're sorry. The quicker you can just like reset it, because you do, the truth of the matter is you do love each other. Whatever you're arguing about, it may feel like a big deal at the moment. Obviously, you know, you realize whatever later that, you know, that's not something that's, that you don't want it to be something that's going to end the relationship, obviously, because you love this person. The quicker you can just get back to that homeostasis is just, he just had so much gratitude that he had the type of relationship, just like you have with your ex-wife, that can allow you to get back to that homeostasis faster than most people, because some people never do.
Yeah, I mean, and it's about like communication and clear communication, and like, you know, removing my ego from a situation to where I know I'm right this time, but they don't see it that way. And it's just like, okay, like, let's talk through this. But also for me, it's like I'll catastrophize. And like this morning, I'm like, fuck, we're never going to speak again. Seriously, we're never going to. But it's like, it's short lived, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's just really about communication and like working through discomfort. And like you said, it's like at the end of the day, I know that I love her a lot, like so much. I would do anything for her. And it's about talking about the hard things and like dropping the ego and just communicating, man. You can really get far in life with good communication skills. And that being said, I don't have the best communication skills all the time. I don't want to make it seem like I do. But it's definitely a practice. And when I do get through something like that with someone that I care about and that I love and that's in my life, regardless, it's a huge win. And it's, you build off stuff like that. When you get through a really tough situation with someone, you get closer and you know how to avoid it next time or stuff like that. Whatever the case may be, but it's great. And I'm incredibly grateful for it.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. It makes me think of the quotes like, is this, with our ego, it's like almost like gotta check your ego at the door and go, hello, ego, is this the hill we want to die on? Is this, is this the battle that, you know what I mean? Like, is this the moment? Is it that important? Is this where I want to make a stand? And that's where you check the ego. Cause it's a total ego thing, because when you're arguing with someone you love, it's not, if you love them, it's like, for one thing, we shouldn't be arguing anyways. One of us needs to have a cool head, right? Needs to be able to step back and go, we can have a discussion, because an argument goes nowhere. But obviously in the moment that doesn't happen. But then it's like, okay, where, is this the battle? Is this the hill I want to die on? But communication with relationships to me, I think it's the reason for life, and gratitude for the people. I think appreciating the people in your life is one of the best, and letting them know you appreciate them is one of the healthiest things that you can do for yourself and the people around you.
I could not agree with that more. I have one of the internal rules that I live by, or I try to live by, is if I'm in the middle of my day and I have a fleeting thought of, you know what, I really appreciated when so-and-so did this for me, or he looks really nice today, she looks really nice today, their hair looks great, or whatever the case may be. It's like, I am really good about telling I really am good about sharing that with them, because what bad could come of you telling someone something nice about themselves, like, you look great, or you're really smart, or I really appreciated what you said, or that was a great picture, the lighting was great, whatever it is. But I am a huge proponent of telling whoever it is, and whatever if it's a good thought about someone, I'd always try to either text it to them, or, some of my friends are probably like, God, why does he tell us he loves us so much randomly, but I think about it and I'm like, wow. Right. I'm really when life is really good, I feel it. When life is really bad is when it really helps me more to get into that gratitude. Because I really have the best friends and the best family, and they take care of me, and they love on me, and they support me. And the support I have gained, that I have had the privilege of gaining in my recovery, has just been fucking earth shattering, man. People are so supportive and so sweet and say the nicest things. And it's just I need to continue to pay this forward, because people hold me, they prop me up. And when I'm struggling, they're there for me. And it's incredible. And it's so kind, and it's so important, especially with what we're going through right now. And I'm not going to get into specifics of what we're going through right now, because I'm going to stay focused on being grateful and good things. But it's just people are fucking on edge, man. And it's telling someone something nice about themselves can shift their day, shift their life. I know, for me at times, when I've just been oh my God, just stuck in my head, and someone will say something so sweet, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe you noticed that, first of all. But the fact that you're telling me that, like, it's like such a shift in direction, and can, like, you never know what someone's going through. You never know.
Right.
Like,
right.
you could save somebody's life. And I mean that in the most literal sense.
Right. And it seems like with your life, because you can feel that, you're like, it's such a part of you that, that when you get, you know, your intuition that brings up so-and-so, you know, you think about somebody and you reach out to them because you just want to reach out and let them know you were thinking about them or you love them. Like that seems like that's built into you as an intuition that it, like you said, it has saved lives. And I know that you obviously affect people in a really positive way. People love you and you connect with people and you assist people in becoming their better selves or helping them love themselves more or even connecting with other relationships. Most people, when they think about people, that's it. That's the thought and moves on. But you're actually connecting that intuition with the person, which is so powerful, which is something we can all do. But unfortunately, we just learn not to do it. You know, it's like, if you think, you know, I mean, it's only a good thing, you know, it's only a good thing. You cannot go wrong by reaching out to somebody and just telling them you love them. You know, you can never tell people you love that you love them enough. You can't. And, and if you're feeling it, the very best way for you and them is to express it. And that could be a text. It could be a phone call. It could be anything, you know? But it's just, you're just adding goodness to their day and yours. And like you said, you never know with your intuition that's coming up. And I'm sure, like you said, it's connected with people at the right time. They fucking needed it, which is beautiful. Right. And it lets you know that, man, this is, even if I'm not 100% where this, you know what I mean? Like I'm 100%, you should do it 100% of the time, just because if that one time, right, we just need to go at it because the odds are you know that it's what it's doing. It's powerful, man. And it's something we all can do.
And usually and the feedback is, you know, that it couldn't have come at a better time, you know, and that's the intuition. That's the, you know, the universe, like, kind of shifting the energy in the correct direction. And it's great. It's, you know, it just raises the whole idea of gratitude and raising your vibration and bringing other high vibrational people into your life as a result of that. Like, it's a ripple effect, and it's brilliant. And I've also, why I'm really adamant about it and really just next level grateful, is I've been on the other end of it, man. Like I like, there was times like when I was strung out that nobody wanted to talk to me and nobody wanted anything to do with me. Like, people would actually be like, we don't want you around. So I understand what it's like to feel isolated and to feel like shit about myself and feel like no one loves me and like, why don't I just die, you know? And it's, if this intuitive thought is coming to me about, you know what, I really like, I like that, you know, my friend's hair looks great today. It's probably like, again, this is the shift of energy in the universe. It's like, you know, we're just energy anyway. And it's like, okay, I'm just a vessel of like expressing this loving kindness to someone else. And then, you know, it's just, there's nothing that can go wrong, honestly. I say that a few times in my life, like, you know, it's just, if I get into a scenario where I'm attaching an outcome to like a compliment to a man or a woman or
right.
My kids or whatever, then that's where the resentment can come in. It's like, well, fuck them because I told them this. But I learned that lesson a long time ago. It's like, be altruistic, like come from a good place, expect nothing in return. And then like the universe definitely provides for sure. I'm pouring water right now. I hope I don't spill it. Anyway, it's good. It's just all about raising our vibrations in general. And then it's very contagious and infectious. And just being kind and like letting the people know that you love them, and you know, things tend to
Yeah.
work out.
Yeah, well, you know, gratitude just allows us to come into the present moment. You know, that's the powerful thing. You know, I was talking with some this morning, and they were talking about how like thoughts were like cars going down a highway and veering in different places. So like a thought, say for instance, like depression, like, so today I woke up, not me, but say today I woke up and I was on my way to Depression Town. Okay. I'm driving to Depression Town. Okay. But something popped up and I took a stop in Gratitude Village, because it allowed me to, on the way there, something brought up for me to take a moment, because that's all we need sometimes is a moment to go, well, life, you know, I have this in my life, or I have that in my life, or I have this going. And then that can, you know, that allows you to take the breath. And then maybe that day you don't actually go to Depression Town, you know, maybe you go back home. And that's what the power of gratitude does. It allows you to come into the present moment, appreciate what you have in that moment. And when you appreciate what you don't, when you have in that moment, you're allowed not to think about what you don't have. You know, in that one moment you have, when you're saying I have this, you're not thinking, oh, I don't have that, because the one thought at a time, you know, the negative and the positive. And the more that we do that, the beautiful thing is we get more present, like we're talking about. And then when we're more present and these thoughts come into our heads, we can act on them, like reaching out to people, like putting our ego aside, like, you know, telling your kids you love them. You know, it's like these are moments that you're so present that those are things that people do that are present. You know what I mean? Because you're
Yeah,
in
I
your
mean,
head, you could be sitting there instead, you know, a lot of people, they're sitting there going on their phone, you know, they're sitting there, you know, and it's like, we're not even connecting. Here we are, right? We have this one life. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I haven't done it, but it's like, there's a huge difference, obviously, about being present and appreciating people. You have to be present to appreciate people, and being completely disassociated with the world around you, which unfortunately, you know, technology is a double-edged sword. You know, I like to say it's like, you know, it's like a knife. It could cut meat to make you a sandwich, but it also could kill you. You know, it's like, how, you know, it's like right now we're connecting. This is like positivity in social media, right? There's a lot of positivity in social media. There's also the flip side, but being present like this, we're being present. We're talking about gratitude. We're connecting. We're literally looking at each other and connecting, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, connection's powerful, and you know, I get off on it. I love it. I, it's what you're saying about gratitude and presence. It's so true. I mean, I think it's scientifically factual as well,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, metaphorically as too. But it's you know, I really thrive on connection, man. It's just like, and it could come in the weirdest situations, or the most unlikely scenarios. Like, I had an instance a few weeks ago on social media, where I had posted something, and it was just something about being grateful, and so the subject is appropriate. And it was something about being grateful. It was being grateful for like something really simple in my day. And a friend of mine, an old friend of mine, was apparently having a rough day. We haven't spoken in forever. And he made like a snide comment about it. And I'm like, all right. I was like, I typed out all this nasty shit like several times, didn't send it.
Right.
I went to a meeting, which is something I do as part of my spiritual program. I have to, like I said earlier, it's like anonymity at the level of press, radio, and field. But I went to a meeting because that's what I've been trained to do. And I practiced restraint of pen and tongue. And, you know, my friends like were not so kind. I was gone for an hour, and it got really ugly, you know?
Okay. Wow.
And I got a private message from him, and he was like, dude, you know, I was having a shitty time earlier, and I'm sorry. Like, and we like reconnected, and I was like, dude, I get it. And now we've like reconnected in life, and talked through it. And it's just a lot of like, you just got to cut people some slack sometimes in situations, you know? Because again,
totally.
You never know what's going on in somebody's day. And with social media, like, we're so quick right now with our finger on the trigger, for lack of a better term, to just, you know, be like, fuck you, like, and just like really attack them. And it was a really amazing lesson for me that day to like, all right, try to approach this differently. I don't fight on social media because I'm not very good at it, and like I'm too sensitive, and like it really like shakes me to my core. If someone starts saying some really nasty things to me, and like they really you know, take up space rent free in my head, and it's just like, all right, wow, well, I've been thinking about this one thing this person said for 3 hours now, and I know that it's not affecting their day like this. So
Right.
you know, not attaching to that anxiety and to that resentment, and just like you know, all you can do is wish the same for the next person that you wish for yourself. And I think a lot of times it's me, you know, us against them, or me against you, or whatever the mentality has become. And it's just something, it's like a tectonic shift that's going to happen in the universe in order for things to get corrected, you know, but who knows?
Yeah, you know, I like that story with your friend a lot. I had something similar happen too in the last couple of weeks, and you know, the one thing it's you know, as soon as you started telling me all that story, I was thinking, yeah, that guy had something going on at that moment, and he just read your post and it ticked him off because he had something going on, you know, in his head, and therefore, and I loved how you said you took a breath, or you went through the process of kind of dealing with your anger by typing it up or whatever, writing it down, and then you went and went to a meeting. I think it's brilliant. I had a very similar thing happen to me, not social media, but I had what I've learned. I'm learning more about myself. I feel like I'm becoming a better adult or a better communicator, right? So when something starts to bug me, I go right into mode like I want to respond to this, and that could just be a text message. I want to, you know, like something's, you know, it's like almost like a monster's biting on the back of my head, right? I'm like, I need to respond, but I realize that I've done this too much. It's like my new saying is this. I have a sticker on my computer, man. It says, that's interesting. Next. So it allows me to like, and I have a rule. If I'm on my way to that town, I'm going to take 2 hours getting there. So that kind of like over response, overreact, say that mind's going over town. I'm going to give myself 2 hours before I respond, because ideally what happens is I calm down, I'm rational, and I just realize to let it go.
Yeah. I
You know?
mean, it's, you know, in my world, it's pause when agitated,
Right.
always
There you
pause
go.
when agitated. And that experience just ended up being like, talk about being grateful. By the end of the night, I'm like, had been messaging with him, and we're like talking about some like things that we connect on that we didn't know we connected on. And so it was just like, all right, this is like, this is what life is about today, that day. And it's just about, you know, cutting whoever some slack every once in a while, and not being so quick to just be so vile to people. It's just, it's not productive. And I understand that there are situations like sometimes drastic measures are required, and it's just, it sucks that that's where we find ourselves right now. But we have to, I have to like just stay grateful. And one of my mentors around here, it's like, always be of service, always be of service, always be of service. How can you be of service? How can you be of service? But it's you can't go wrong, like if you're looking at ways to be of service.
Oh yeah.
And it's really a like I said, a ripple effect. Like people really do pay it forward, and people are like, oh wow, you know, maybe I'll look at the next interaction I have with someone differently because of the way that we interacted today. Or, and you never know, like if you can have that effect on somebody's life, it can change the entire course of someone's entire existence. And it may not. It could be something like,
Right.
fuck this guy, he's an idiot, and that's fine. That's not,
Right.
you know, as long as I keep my side of the street clean and am of maximum service, I can sleep at night. Now there's plenty of other things that keep me up at night, but it's never something like I could have done more for somebody today. because I really I pray a lot about that, like as in a spiritual sense, as like, okay, like show me the path, like put me in the right direction, put me in whoever's life that we can, help each other today. And it's a lot of, my focus is my kids, always, but that's just part of it. So family's important. Family's the most important thing. And the older I get, the more sober I am, the more so I realize how important family is, because there were definitely many years of my life where I was like, nah, family's not that important. Like, it really doesn't matter. They don't care about me. They don't have my back. And I learned how, I was so wrong so many times about that. And I'm glad that I continue to learn that lesson. And I'm super grateful for that, for sure. There's a lot of things I'm grateful for.
Yeah, well, I love you bringing up acts of service. That's another, when you're helping somebody else out, you stop thinking about you become present and stop thinking about all your problems. It allows you to focus on somebody else, which is a beautiful thing, and give them the gift of your time and your energy, which can be a total gift to somebody if they're caught in their head, or they got, if they're in a bad situation. That's what a healthy thing to be able to reach out to somebody and just give them that gift. And in turn, you're just giving yourself a gift. You're giving yourself a gift of coming into the present moment by being present for somebody else. It's an amazing thing. And, the one of my favorite gratitude questions, I'm gonna roll on this real quick here, is so aside from your ex-wife and your kids, because we know that you're immensely grateful for them, I'm gonna ask you a question, and this is just top of your mind, okay? This isn't an order or anything, it's top of your mind, and I just want you to answer, just give me a one word answer, okay? So when I say someone in your life you're grateful for, who's the first person that pops in your mind? Just the name.
Mom.
Okay. I'm going to go again. We go another layer. Someone in your life you're grateful for. Who popped in your head now?
Brian.
Okay. One last layer. Someone in your life you're grateful for. Who popped in your head?
Hunter.
Hunter. Okay. So tell me about Hunter. I want to know why, what kind of gratitude comes to mind when you think of Hunter?
Hunter and I had again, very serendipitous meeting at a fish show, and in Nashville in 2018, I think it was. I can't remember. Anyway, I have like a lot of guys in my life that I consider brothers. I could answer that question a million times.
Oh, I know you could, brother.
Really love.
I know you could.
I'm staying at Brian's and whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
What was the question again?
No, I was just asking about Hunter, and obviously it wasn't an order thing. It's all about who popped in your head. I just wanted to know.
Oh yeah, so Hunter and I
a little more about Hunter and why you're grateful for him.
He's just like a younger brother to me, and we share a brain, and we share a lot of like commonalities, and like it's even like a weird little thing sometimes. He'll text me something, and I'll be like, "Whoa, I was thinking about that exact same thing," and it'll be something as obscure as like one line of an obscure rock and roll song that there's no way, unless something is going on in the universe that we're connected by, that we would have thought about that at the same time, because it's just too far out there.
Right.
But yeah, we've been through a lot, and I'm trying to be careful with my words here.
Oh, okay. That's all right, man. That's fine. That was good. I just like asking that question. The amazing thing about asking that question is, and people have their go-tos, which are normally their 1 and 2, and their go-tos are great. Don't get me wrong. That's why I kind of took your kids off the table. Don't worry. They're great. I'm always curious when we get past the reflex, at that point, your mind actually is thinking, you know what I mean? When I'm going, who pops in your mind? At that point, you actually are having, oh, who's popping in my mind? Because you automatically have them sitting in your mind. You know what I mean? Your kids are automatically sitting there. So I just love that question, because it allows the individual to actually get to the point where I'm going, who pops in your mind, and they actually get to feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it probably just has everything to do with like who texted me last, you know?
Right. It's, well, obviously
Or
it has to do with whatever's, who knows, right?
because
What's going on in
where
your
I
head.
go with that is, oh man, like did I forget to mention so-and-so? And then I'm like, oh no, now I feel like a piece of shit and I'm not a good friend. And that's when the catastrophizing starts. But it's just like, that's the inner workings of my mind. It's just a lot of like getting in my own way and putting way more thought into something than anyone else would, as far as like worrying about it, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I try to make sure that anybody's listening. It's not about order. It's about occurrence. What's occurring in the moment. It's not we don't put an order. Like, you wouldn't say I'm grateful for your one kid over the other. It's the same thing where I'm just saying who pops in your head.
They would like for me to.
Oh, I'm sure they would.
Yeah, they would like.
Would you say at any given moment it really depends?
Pretty much. I'm always just like, I love you so much more. And they're like, really? And I'm like, no, definitely not. But I get asked that, especially my daughter asks me that a lot. Curtis, my son, doesn't ask me that too much just because that's just not how he communicates. But Sophia, my daughter, definitely, she's like, am I your favorite kid? Am I your favorite kid? And she says it in jest, but it's kind of an ongoing joke we have.
Yeah. You know, another question I love to ask is when I say like a story of kindness, what pops in your head? Do you have a story? Either you, it could be something you did for somebody or something somebody did for you. That you just say this. It could be really short or it could be long, but just when you hear a story of kindness in your life, where does that go?
Well, you know, I'm bringing it back to family. My mom sent me this text the other day that was like the sweetest, most well-worded, like amazing, loving text. It could have been one of the nicest. It's probably the nicest text I've ever gotten. And I was just, you know, floored by it. And I was floored by her, you know, craftsmanship of the English language and her ability to express her emotions and to be vulnerable. And it just meant the world to me. It did. Because there was so many years where it wasn't, my parents loved me through all the shit. I've made no mistake about that. But, you know, there was many years where I wasn't allowed to like come into the house without knocking on their door and like asking permission, or it was like, dude, if you don't get help, like we're setting this boundary now, either get help with your drug addiction or we can't communicate with you. And now it's just like the complete opposite end of the spectrum there. And it's just like we, you know, it's deep, man. It's really amazing. And I'm super grateful for it.
That's beautiful, man. I love that.
I would read the text, but I don't want to blow up her spot like that. But it was
okay.
So
I was there going, man, if he were to read this, but I know it's personal, so I didn't.
Let me see if there's like anything in it that.
Yeah, if you gave us just a little bit, you could just give us a couple highlight lines. That would be really sweet. That's
let's see.
What a beautiful place for you to be. What a beautiful place for you to be, man. To have that experience the other day. Wow, that's awesome, man. It's okay if you can't share. It's okay.
Oh. This was my favorite line from it, because it was just like, wow, this is really, she said, and this is just her ability to use words to like, she said, you're a beautiful and raw second chance being. And
oh, wow.
Like, wow, that's amazing. I was like, holy shit, that's probably the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me in my entire life. And people have said a lot of really nice things to me.
Right.
Being here. But yeah, it was moving. It really was. And I'm just, again, I lived such a charmed life, and I'm really, really, really grateful for it. I have the best friends and the best family and all this love surrounding me. And I just, you know, like to fill my karmic tank up by like giving away as much of that as I possibly can.
Right on, man. I love all that stuff about your mom, man. It's so beautiful. Thanks for sharing that line. I was when you read it, I was like thinking, wow, that sounds like a cool like title for somebody, you know, like that's
I
your
know.
like,
I was
you know
like,
what I mean? Like,
whoa.
wow, oh, those words, right? Second, you know, I feel like we're all sitting in a second chances, you know, but man, that's epic. That's good for you, man. Jeez, you know, that there's your karma, right? You're doing all these great things, and then your mom sends you, you know, you get this extra beautiful gift on your phone, right? Out of nowhere, right? You didn't expect
Yeah,
that.
it was really meaningful. And like last night, out of nowhere, Curtis, my son, just texted me, "I love you," and he's not as open and vulnerable as his sister or as I am, or maybe my mom, but getting that from him was like, just, it made my night. And where I'm going with this is I immediately texted my dad the same thing. But
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
man, like, this is like, he took the time to text me that. I really need to either text my dad or call him and tell him the same thing. And that's just a you know, one of a billion examples of how like the gratitude compounds immediately. You know, it's like I learn a lot from 12-year-old kids all the time. My
Right on,
kids.
man. Right, right. That is so beautiful, man. I love that. What do you, you know, what are some, you know, you obviously gratitude's a part of your daily life, but if you're somebody who was trying to get into, you know, kind of check out this gratitude thing, or I'm sure you've talked to people at meetings or you've helped people get into this moment. What are some, what, what are some examples of things you tell people what, you know, you would say you should do this or do that, or like, you know, as far as getting into
Um,
a practice?
Well, all I can do is like in those situations is share from experience. I don't like to, you know, there's this new phrase now, don't shit all over yourself. And it's like
Okay.
I'm not trying to tell someone what they should and shouldn't do, but I can tell them what they you know, what's worked for me and
Right.
what
Of
might
course.
work for
Yeah.
them. It's really about like precision of language as far as that goes. But um a gratitude list. Like if someone calls me freaking out about their life and how bad their life sucks, it's usually like my go-to muscle memory is like write a gratitude list real quick, make a pros and cons list. If you're thinking about a big life decision, something as simple as a pros and cons list is really helpful. But you know, the number one thing in the school that I'm part of now, it's like the quickest way to get out of your head is be of service to someone else. If I'm freaking out about something, pick up the phone. The phone may be heavy, it might be tough. Text somebody, call somebody, like, you know, random check-ins. People might think it's weird, but it works, you know, like, hey, what's up, dude? How are you today? Like, I was just thinking about you. I hope you're well. What's going on? Like, I was just thinking about this experience we had 10 years ago, or, you know, maybe like with the amends process too, it's just like, you know, I really, you know, want to right some wrongs that were made many years ago. And it's just, you can talk to people about all kind of shit, but it's you know, again, it comes back to always be of service, always be of service. And it usually comes at the right time, and people pick up the phone if they need to, if that's how the universe moves, shifts the energy around. And then, you know, you can, it helps. That's when people express to me their gratitude for whether it's my vulnerability or reaching out to them or whatever the case may be, like talking them through a tough situation or just listening to them cry or scream or whatever, it helps me just as much as it helps them, because that's the service aspect of it, and that's the gratitude. Like, I think you and I were talking before the thing. It's just like I have these reminders throughout my day of like maybe what life was like 10 years ago, or maybe something that really bad happened when I was really strung out. It's just like, man, at least I'm on the other end of that call right now, and I'm super grateful. And I know that at any given time, should I lose this connection that is so important, I could be right back on the other side of that. Like, as far as like getting back into sobriety, relapse is always just like right there. You know, like I'm staring at a giant bar full of like really nice liquor right now. And what's keeping me from that is like my daily practice and my higher power. And because there's my thinking isn't keeping me from that, but it's like I had this through like doing the work. I had this like spiritual awakening, this psychic change, and now the obsession to drink and use drugs is gone. Like, it's not even a thing, which is bizarre if you knew what kind of a drug addict and alcoholic I was. What were we talking about?
Oh, well, I mean, we started.
I can talk about sobriety all day.
No, I know you can, and I loved that you segued into it. I was initially just asking, you know, some different ways of practice, and I like your idea of just saying, you know, the go-to is just make a gratitude list. I think that's in, you know, obviously you wouldn't just tell people what to do. I'm just saying if someone were to come to you and say, this is what I do, you know, and I think, and I've asked a lot of people that question, and they'll say, you know, if you're going to start anywhere, just write down 3 things you're grateful for in the morning. Make whatever you're doing, make it a practice, make it easy and simple and stupid. You know, because if you don't have 1 minute of the day to be able to, you know, share gratitude, then you don't have you know, if you can't make 1 minute, it's not important and you don't have a life. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the easiest inroad for anybody to start in a gratitude practice is just writing. You know, I even talked to somebody last week. It's just like, literally get a journal or get a little notebook, put it by your bed, put it somewhere you're going to see it, and just make it part of your day. It could be the beginning of your day. Like I have my journal right here. You know, I get up in the morning and, you know, I write in my journal. It's right here, you know. These are like $7 or $8, you know, these are great. Or just get a notepad, you know, and then just make it part of your day, you know, just make it go, okay, this part of the day, I'm going to do this. Again, it could take 1 minute. It could be the beginning of the day, or it could be the end of the day. It could be the middle of the day. It doesn't matter. It's just about being, you know, build it into a habit that you already have, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's where, myself included, people hit a lot of roadblocks. It's like, you know, there's no method to it. Like, a lot of people are like, am I doing this right? Like, I don't know. I didn't do it at the right time, or whatever the case may be. Again, that's me getting in my own way. But it's just like, no, dude, just grab a piece of paper and write like 3 things down that you're currently grateful for.
Right.
You know, and if you don't have 3 things you're grateful for, like, look at that and like, what do you need to do to get to a place of like being grateful? Because I know that there's been plenty of times in my life where if you would have told me to write a gratitude list, I'd have been like, fuck you.
It's interesting when people, if somebody actually gets to a place and they can ask themselves, what do they have to be grateful for? And then they can't come up with anything. They're really, at that point, they're so caught in their head that, you know, no individual is going to be able to point out the obvious stuff to them.
Yeah.
You know, if that individual would go look at me because I'm their friend and go, well, what do you think I have to be grateful for? And actually, I'll segue into a really short story here. So when I was in New York, you know, doing Gratitude New York, I got, you know, my sleep at the time, I told you I was going through hypermania. So I had very interesting sleep patterns, you know, where I would get up in the middle of the night and just want to go walk around the city. So, you know, it was probably, I don't know, 5 a.m. and I'm walking through Times Square because I went to get coffee because Starbucks is one of the few things that opens around 6 or something like that, you know. And I meet these 2 guys because they asked me for money, and we start talking and walking. You know, I tell them, okay, you know, if you guys are hungry, we can go to McDonald's, because the McDonald's in Times Square is freaking sweet, dude. Coffee's $1, Egg McMuffin's $1. I mean, you think about gifting somebody food. I mean, that's like almost like free. Really, it is.
Totally.
But I'm talking to these guys, and they're like, well, so one of the guys had just gotten out of jail. He'd been in jail for a while. It was either prison or jail. And his friend had picked him up, and then they were supposed to go to stay at his friend's place, but the friend's girlfriend was like, you guys can't come here. So we're walking around. I'm talking about gratitude as I do, you know. And the guy that just got out of jail, this is probably an hour after we've been talking and walking, right? He goes, well, what do I have to be grateful for? He literally looked at me and said that, Curtis. I go, you're not in jail anymore. It's like, you know what I mean? He goes, oh yeah, you're right. So it's like, it's really, sometimes you're like so caught in your head that you don't realize that, you know, I mean, that there's so much just freedom. I mean, geez, right? I'm free today. That's really freaking sweet. There's a lot of people in the world that aren't free. I mean, there's people that they're in countries where they can't be free. There's still slavery in the world. You know, I mean, geez, you know, they having the air I breathe, you know, the fact that my lungs work, you know, I mean, people in America, especially water, like our access to water, right? You can't live without water. Our access to water is like, you know, I mean, to other countries where people are, you know, there's so much where people don't think about it, because if you've just been born, it's almost like we've all been born is like princes in this world, are princesses, because we've been given the essentials since birth, a lot of us, right?
Yeah.
And what were the essentials? Okay, I didn't have to worry about eating. I had, I always had a roof over my head. Those are two massive things. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to worry about food. You didn't have to worry about, and technically we've been born into it. And unfortunately, because we've been born into it, we take it for granted because it's always been there, where in reality, that's a gift. And it's the more the things we can think in gratitude, we can appreciate these little things that aren't little, that are a part of our every freaking day, I mean, but again, if somebody's so caught up, like my friend I'm talking about in New York, or, somebody's so in their, is so in their head, it's like they can't see any of that. I don't know where I was trying to finish that thought, but I was just thinking about that. This is the whole idea of that we all have something to be grateful for. I really do believe that if you can breathe, if you're still alive, technically, if you're still above ground, you have one thing you can be grateful for, and that could be your heartbeat. That could just be the fact that you are conscious. Now, being conscious could suck, but you know what really sucks? Not being conscious. And a lot of people, the gift of life, regardless of how good or bad your life is a gift. There's a lot of people that tomorrow don't have that gift. And I'll tell you, they want it. They want it. There's people in their life that want it, I guess I'm kind of going down a different path here with this thought process, but, and the fact that you're there with the friend and if we're sitting there in front of somebody, it means we care, right? So, we care about the person. That's something to be grateful for. Company is something to be grateful for. Friends, geez, like you said, back to, right? What a thing that we all had to be grateful. I mean, geez, that alone, right? To have a good friend, right? A good friend, right? Or have a parent that is, one, that really loves you, and two, is still alive, right? Yeah. I mean, what a gift. What a gift.
I agree. And, to your point earlier, water definitely makes my gratitude list every time I write it. It's like a go-to for sure. But yeah, it's, super blessed and really grateful. And again, all I can do is wish the same happiness for someone else as I wish for myself.
Right.
And
man.
Talking about like company, and especially since March 14th, like I believe that people are going to have a entirely new sense of gratitude for being able to gather with friends, and really stuff that we definitely took for granted pre-COVID, and just like affection and human touch. And like, I have friends that haven't really seen anyone since March, and it's just, there's definitely a lot to be grateful for, even in the midst of all the chaos and the shit. It's like, I just really, even if I got to search, it's like, okay, I woke up in a bed, or I was able to drink clean water, or whatever the case may be. It's just, I can find something.
Right. Even just stepping out into the sunshine, I mean, I was walking with my father last week, and it just hit me. I was like, I'm so grateful that I can see color. I mean, really,
man, I think about stuff like that all the time. Mobility. Yeah. The ability is always on my list. Like, really, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's heavy. I mean, even, the fact that my legs work, right? That we can move around. This the fact that you can mobility, an individual can be mobile, right? Which means you're allowed to be independent. I mean,
absolutely, man.
And obviously a lot of people don't have that. So we should appreciate if we do. There's nothing wrong with me going, I'm grateful my legs work, or that I'm healthy enough that I can, you know what I mean? Like, it's freaking massive. I mean, geez, I had a friend talk about his mom growing up having MS, and because he saw her health deteriorate, it was a really beautiful thing. He said that he could either be angry because his mom had this disease, or he could be grateful because it's who she was. So it's like, he decided, I just love the idea of going, he was grateful for who his mom was. This is who his mom was. And he wasn't going to be angry about her illness. He wasn't going to let the illness stop his love or make him angry. Right. And, and because of her illness, he literally goes, I'm grateful because, he said, there are times that I get overly emotional just because I can tie my own shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I can bathe myself, right? I mean, think about that. These are things that most people, right? I mean, I don't dude, I don't know if I've ever been in the shower and thought, I'm so grateful I can do this for myself. I probably will next time we cut this conversation, but think about that, right? I mean, just the fact that we can do that, that's a huge thing to be grateful for.
Yeah, no, I do think about it because I have people that are in my orbit that can't do it and that still find a way to find gratitude in their day. And I'm like,
oh yeah, for
you know
sure.
what? If my friend that is in this situation can be grateful today, I can sure as fuck be grateful.
Oh yeah, yeah. I read a beautiful letter of a guy that is I met. I read it too late, unfortunately, but he was terminally ill, and he wrote a really beautiful letter. It was basically saying that I'm not going to be alive by the time lockdowns open. And he had this amazing letter, but he got to like the 5 things that he's learned, and number 1 was about being grateful. And he was literally speaking from death's bed, because after this article went, I think he died within a week. But it's powerful. And when somebody can sit at the end of their life and say, man, I have so much to be grateful for. Like, who am I to sit here and not, you know what I mean? Like, it's a powerful, that's like, I'm just getting back when you're saying somebody with a disability and they're grateful, or they don't have this and they still find gratitude. It's like us that have an overabundance of things that are going, these other things, you know, if we can put those thoughts in our heads, it can be easier to go be humble and just appreciate the literal gold that we have in our pocket all the time.
I know.
You know? Yeah. So this has been great, man. I know we're at about an hour here. You know,
I appreciate your time. I appreciate you asking me to do this. Like, it feels good. I'm looking forward to like building on it and, you know, seeing what we can do, and it'll, you know, keep me in gratitude. That's for sure. If we're talking about it all the time, it's like, you can't really talk about gratitude and not find it pop up in the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm super grateful you asked me to do this. You know, I believe in the greater forces at work that we were supposed to do this, and hopefully it reached somebody. And, you know, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thank you. And just to let everybody know that's listening, and you know, this podcast will be on, you know, all the podcast network sites short, you know, in the next couple days. And this video, which is great, will be living online. And you know, what Curtis and I discussed before is that we're hoping, the idea is that Curtis could head up a Gratitude and Sobriety podcast on GratitudeSpace Radio. So for the people that hear this, if you've got a story you'd like to share, Curtis or I would definitely, when the time comes in the future and we set all this up, we're definitely interested in hearing it. You know, obviously we can't get enough of these good stories. So I just wanted to put that in there as part of this casing of our first online event together. And the first time Gratitude Space Radio has been online, first time live streaming. There were people that stayed the whole time, or people with us, which was really beautiful, man. Which is
That's
really
awesome.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have no idea who it was, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't either. And I just the energy was there, and I really appreciate people showing up. I feel like those are definitely your friends, and they're my friends now, which is good. So,
like I said, I have the best friends in the world, the best friends, the best family. I mean, I have amazing friends and family. I don't want to throw superlatives
they're the best.
out there.
They're
like
the best
that,
to you. It's okay.
Yeah,
You're speaking from your
super
person.
grateful for all of them and all of the support and all the love.
Thanks, man. Well, hey, I'll close this out here and then stay on the line for a second, and because I want to chat with you just one more minute. So I'm Chris with Curtis, and we're just reminding you to stay grateful. You got a lot to be grateful for, and that was Gratitude Space Radio, and we are officially out of this live stream.
Bye.